Hey everybody, you're watching Ready Set Drone, and today we have the Emax Cinehawk Mini. This is a smaller version of their original Cinehawk ducted whoop style FPV quad. We're gonna give you a review and see how it does, so stay tuned. First of all, thanks to Emax for sending this to us. We've actually had this for a while, and we were waiting until Emax released it so that you could actually buy it on their website before we release these videos. Well, they have, and you can buy it on their website now, so we'll put a link in the description if you actually want to get one, but watch the video first and see what you think. Also, we have another video comparing this to the Avata 2. We'll try to avoid those comparisons in this video and just talk about the Cinehawk Mini on its own merits. But there are a lot of comparisons, so if you want to check it out and see how it is compared to the Avata 2, watch that video. So let's start with the fact that this thing is a blast to fly. It is small, it is very nimble, and it comes with, or you have to put in your own O3 unit. Now you can order it ready to fly with an O3 unit and ELRS installed. ELRS is the protocol for the transmitter, or you can put in your own O3 unit, and it does still come with ELRS. The receiver is built into the board, so ELRS is the only option on this thing, so you're gonna wanna have an ELRS transmitter if you wanna fly it. The props are 2.5 inch, and it has 4,500 kV motors. It is sub 250 grams, even with a battery, and it's optimized for these flatter 850 milliamp batteries. And a little tip and trick that we like about this is that if you put the battery with the cables facing forward instead of backwards, you can actually get this kind of neat little, I say neat as in tidy setup here, where once you got it in there, so you got your balance port facing forward and you've got your XT30 facing forward. There's just enough length of this that you can put these together right here like this, and it's a nice, neat little package. Your XT30 is out of the way, and your balance port really doesn't get in the way, but if you wanted to, you could always tuck it back under here like that if you had to. But we like that about it, the fact that it works so well with these batteries, and it gives it a fairly low profile, even with a battery on top of it, which helps with its agility. And it is pretty agile. This little guy will do power loops. This guy will hit gaps very easily. And the quality of the camera is decent. It's a O3 unit, which is a 1/1.7 inch sensor. Not quite as good as the Avata 2, but still a pretty good sensor. It's the same sensor that was in the Avata 1. And it looks pretty amazing with Rocksteady on, or you could run it through GyroFlow and do it that way. But if you want to get some good footage, you're gonna have to put that O3 unit into this thing if you don't buy it already assembled. Putting the O3 unit in it has some gotchas. Chris did it. He pulled an O3 unit that we had out of a quad that was not working anymore, and he put it into this one, and he put a whole video together with instructions step by step on how to do it. So if you're gonna buy one of these and put your own O3 unit in it, you're gonna definitely wanna bookmark and watch that video as you do it, because Chris walks you through every step. It's not that difficult, it just has some gotchas that you want to avoid. Now, why would you want to put the O3 unit in it yourself, besides the fun of doing it, in air quotes? It's gonna save you a little bit of money. So if you're handy and you want the experience of putting the camera in yourself, you can do that, or you can go ahead and buy it with an O3 unit already installed and spend a little bit more. In addition to putting in the O3 unit, Chris did all the setup on this, and he told me it was very simple to set up. It bound really easily with ELRS, which sometimes there's a little bit of pickiness when you're trying to bind an ELRS receiver or another receiver, but it bound really quickly. It showed up in Betaflight. All the settings in Betaflight were very easy to configure. We've done some videos on how to do that, so it's sort of universal to all FPV quads, you know, within the 2022 to 2025 timeframe. But just know that the setup, if you've set up an FPV quad before, was fairly simple, and if you've never done it, it's not that hard if you watch some of our videos. We found that this thing is fun to fly indoors. As a matter of fact, we have a video of us reacting to our first time flying it around, going through a lot of gaps in our studio here and just having some fun with it. But it's also fun to fly outdoors. Now, in terms of how it flies, it's really, really nice indoors. I was pretty impressed with how agile it was indoors. I flew it in angle mode, I flew it in horizon mode, and I also flew it in acro or air mode. And all three of them did pretty well indoors. It was easy to get going too fast in air mode, but otherwise hitting gaps and things like that with it is pretty easy. And because it's so small, you can definitely do some cool stuff with it. However, because of its design and the ducted props, it does have a tendency to kind of suck up against things. So if you're going through a gap like under a chair or something like that, and there's a cushion above you, you will find that sometimes it'll start to get bouncy, or if you're against a wall and you're flying pretty close, it could kind of suck into that wall. You have to be just kind of cautious about those small gaps and not take them too slow, because when you take them slowly, that's when you get all that bounce with it. But overall, flying it indoors, I really enjoyed it. And definitely felt like it was a kind of quad that you can fly indoors without damaging the walls, without worrying about hitting things or anything like that. So the guard that goes around it is fairly flexible, and we did find that it can kind of get pushed in a little bit and push up against the props. So if you do crash hard, you're going to want to check and make sure the props all still have plenty of clearance. But it's effective to keep the quad from breaking props. So far, we've not had any props break, and we've been flying it quite a bit and crashed it quite a few times. So that's a nice thing about it. And again, if it runs into you or hits a person, it's really not going to hurt anything because it's very lightweight and all the props are guarded. It is definitely quieter than most ducted quads, including the Avata 2. We really noticed that when we were flying outdoors, as the two of the drones would zip by, we were chasing each other. This one definitely had a quieter tone to it than the Avata 2. The Avata 2 is not bad, but this one is quieter and a little more pleasant to the ears in terms of the tone of the motors. And in terms of the way you can freestyle with this, again, it's not a freestyle quad. So if you're expecting something that you can just do crazy zip zoom freestyle with, this isn't the quad, but it is a better freestyle quad than the Avata 2 in terms of the fact that it's got a better power to weight ratio. It does power loops pretty well. Chris did some power loops, some really nice power loops, and he said he felt like he was getting a lot of prop wash, but when we went back and looked at the footage actually looked really great. It looked like a really clean, smooth power loop. And so you can do those kind of things with it. And in terms of diving it, it dives pretty well too, because you can go down pretty fast, and because it's really lightweight, when you hit the throttle to recover out of the dive, it's fairly easy to keep a controlled flight path once you've finished your dive. So there's a lot of reasons that this thing is agile and a good compromise between a cinewhoop, cinematic FPV quad and a freestyle quad. While it's not designed to be freestyle, it does a better job than most cinewhoop style quads at freestyle. So overall, our impressions of the Emax Cinehawk Mini are very positive. It's really fun to fly. It's got a great fit and finish. It's got a great design to it. And it's going to be a really nice little indoor FPV quad for when we want to get indoor FPV. And then something that we can fly outdoors as well, maybe even a backup to our Avata 2 if we're doing an outdoor FPV shot. It's going to give you slightly less quality on the camera because of the O3 unit. And if you're using a different camera like HD0 or something, don't expect the quality to be as good as the Avata 2. But in a lot of cases, I think it's going to be perfectly acceptable for outdoor FPV footage. Let us know what you think about the Cinehawk Mini and leave a comment below. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time on Ready, Set, Drone.
Wow, you went really far.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. No problem with the controller.
Dang, okay.
You know, there's kind of a building between us.
Yeah.
A dumpster there.
Yeah.
And a tree.
Right.
So thank you. I was kind of surprised. Yeah, it got video breakup at that point, so that was when I turned around.
Oh, okay.
Maybe ELRS has redeemed itself.